Today we have a special guest. Matt is here from Upstock, and we're going to be talking about efficiency and growth for B2B. So we're going to do a little bit of possibly some frequently asked questions and stuff like that. And then we're going to get into a product walkthrough and talk about how Upstock can make this all happen. So it's a very exciting session to look at a digital tool here on Digital Boost, which we love. If you are streaming with us on one of our social media channels, make sure that you use the comment section or the Q&A function or the chat function in order to engage with Matt and myself throughout the session. We'd love to get your questions, your comments, any feedback you have or requests that you have for future sessions. Do let us know. We do listen, and always remember that our support team is standing by to help you out at support@digitalboost.co.nz. So welcome, Matt. Thank you so much for joining me today. Little bit
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so good way to start the day. I'm gonna have you get your camera on. There we go. Perfect.
I'm ready to go now. Well, thanks very much for the introduction, Anna Marie. It's really good. I think what I'll probably best to do is to get going with a bit of background about Upstock. What the purpose of it is, where it is now and where it's going, how it's helping out wholesale suppliers in terms of making them more efficient and getting new business, which has been a big win for quite a number of them, and how it's helping out those people that are actually on the other side of the two-sided marketplace, the buyers as well.
Fantastic. It sounds fantastic. I will let you drive. We'll make sure your share screen is working, and then I will open up all the live chats across the various platforms, because that's where most of our folks have been sitting.
Okay, well, here we go. I'll share my screen here with you with regards to
Perfect.
the background of Upstock and what it's all about. So it's a two-sided marketplace. It's about efficiency and growth for product suppliers on one side, and what we've got here is just a list of the typical issues that the wholesale product suppliers have. It's around affording salespeople to generate new business. Social media is expensive. Receiving orders from various directions, being email, phone, and text, is itself expensive, and also sets up for trouble because they can easily be lost or forgotten. There is no easy and efficient way for them to manage the orders often, and communicating with the warehouse as to what needs to be sent and what hasn't been sent, etc., can be problematic and time consuming. None of these things are particularly difficult if you throw time at them to overcome, but people are often short of time, and correcting errors is also very problematic and can really eat up hours sometimes. So that's what they tell us that they have in terms of problems, and this is what they tell us that they want. They want an efficient and automated system for increasing sales, and order handling to be fast and easy. Not many people go into, for instance, making their favorite sauce or their favorite bakery items or whatever it might be, that they've then scaled up and started to make it on a commercial basis. They don't go into it so they can actually do admin. They go into it for the process of making the products and selling them. And Upstock lets people refocus on that part of the business. So to make it automated, what we have is a system where buyers can link with suppliers. So it's like becoming friends on Facebook. And then as well as that, Upstock provides the opportunity for suppliers to actually reach out and make themselves more visible to new stockists, which often leads to new business. And to make the order handling fast and easy, we automate a lot of the process around receiving an order and processing it through to an accounting system or to an inventory system. So the buyers who are on the other side of the two-sided marketplace what used to be really efficient for buyers was the landline telephone, when you'd had one place and all of the orders were written in a book, and it was controlled as to where that phone was because it was a cord attaching it to a wall. And if you're in a restaurant or a bar or a cafe, you'd go there to order and everything would be written down. No longer, because that phone's gone. And they want now a really efficient way of placing orders and a single place where the orders are collated, so that team members can view them and not have to ask each other what's been ordered. And they want to know that their suppliers received the order. So what Upstock is a multi-supplier platform. So instead of going to one supplier by supplier by supplier, we've got them collated in one place. Sort of like the model of going to booking.com or Trivago, as opposed to going to each hotel individually to their website to try and find out what the deal is. And then a single place where orders are collated to be viewed later. And then you get notification when the supplier is handling the order towards delivery. And it works, buyers like it. We've got some great feedback from sellers, buyers, and every day we're getting great feedback, and it's growing quite fast and it's doing well. So now what I'm going to do is present a demo version of Upstock to you, so we can see both sides. We can see both the supply side and the buy side. So I'll just get that going now, and we'll be into it. So this is the fictitious company Fanciful Bagels, and this is often what happens with the supplier will fire up their computer in the morning, or just have a look and see what's come in as far as orders. And in this case, they've got orders from New World supermarkets. They've got an order from a cafe, and the New World supermarket orders have come into Upstock because we've integrated it with the foodstuffs exchange. So for those suppliers that are selling to the New World or Pack and Save or Foursquare banners, the orders come directly into Upstock and then can be very fast. It's very fast processing from there. In this case, we've also got it connected to Xero, so that the orders come in from foodstuffs or from their other commercial accounts they've got, cafes and bars and restaurants and things, and then they can flow through to Xero. So there's very minimal manual handling of the data. So in this case, the supplier's got these orders here. They've had their customers link with them on Upstock. So the suppliers had their customers link with them on Upstock, or in the case of the exchange, we've linked with the exchange, and that's automatically linked their customers. And they click into an order if they want to. They don't have to. In this case, they can see there's been a price mismatch. So I'm just highlighting here that there's a few extra things you can get from Upstock other than just processing the order through. It's been ordered by the exchange, and that allows them to process the order further. And I'll just, so we can approve that order. Let's say if the price mismatch was not a problem for them, and so they fulfill them anyway. Not 99.9% of the time you don't have price mismatches. We just wanted to show you there's a bit more to it than just throwing the orders through. Now that order there is in processing. It's got the reference number that's required for foodstuffs. It's got the packing slip, priced packing slip as required by foodstuffs with the store number on it, the order number, the reference number, the delivery address. So that meets foodstuffs quite strict requirements. Let's say if they decide that they want to send the send the order to a warehouse, they can do that by email, or they can send it to the customer to confirm, or whatever it might be. They can send that order off somewhere else. And when they've eventually got that as shipped, they can just mark it as shipped. It's very, very difficult for them to miss orders when they're coming in this way. It's very difficult for them to, for instance, have this 205 Coffee Lab order that's come in, forgotten and not be sent. If it was coming in by text or email or phone, they've then got to pick it up and put it into the next place for processing, which is often Xero. Whereas if it comes in here into Upstock, they approve it and they're sending confirmation to the buyer. It's created the invoice in Xero for them in that instant. There's no manual data entry for them to do now. And even better will be if their warehouse is set up as a user of their instance of Upstock, so the warehouse can just go through and send the orders off and mark them as shipped. And that could be their own staff in a warehouse, or it could be a third-party logistics warehouse that they've given the login. They've invited them on as a user, and they go on and just send off the orders. Now, in theory, there's also, of course, no reason why the warehouse cannot just see the orders coming in and mark them as approved and ship them, and do all of that back-end work for them, for the supplier, which is really, really efficient, because it means that they're actually creating the invoices in Xero for them. And this can be set up to be a tax invoice rather than just a draft invoice. And they're doing all of that work for the supplier. And whilst they're doing that, they're actually providing opportunity for the supplier to be updated. The supplier can just easily log in from their phone wherever they are and see what's happening with the orders that have come in today, and as they can see as the warehouse is progressively shipping them. And the buyer's being kept informed. So what we are trying to do is place all the information where people that need to know it can see it, but they don't have to ask anybody else for it. They can just go and check it for themselves. So this is simply what the warehouse could literally do, is just go through and approve the orders, and they're all going into Xero, and there's not much more for the supplier to do around these orders apart from perhaps check on them. And then, of course, that leaves them more time to go and look for new customers. Now, what could happen is they might see that there's a number here to show that against customers there's one pending. Gypsy Lounge has asked to trade with them, which is fantastic. This is a new incremental business coming on for them. So they'll look at Gypsy Lounge and they'll realise that looks like the kind of place they'd like to do business with and sell bagels to. So they'll accept that invite, and they can then decide what price list they'll put them on. And they decide they'll put them on the default price list, and they want to add them into Xero because they're a new customer. So they'll add them into Xero as well. And then the next thing you'll often find is that they'll receive an order from Gypsy Lounge pop up here. So that's as fast as you can possibly get, I would think, to get a new customer, is that they just appear in your on your list there, and then you just confirm. You do get, of course, the customer's details, so that you can. It's not totally just. Well, in usual cases, when it's not a demo site, you'll actually have their name and their cell phone number. Is usually what you get. So you can actually contact them and say hello, which is a good idea as well to keep customer relations up. And then if you decide that you want to reach out and get some even more customers on board, Fanciful Bagels could decide that they want to promote themselves to buyers by putting out some news feeds showcasing their wonderful bagels. And then the the customers will see the news feed and on their side, on the buyer side, and they can just order now and get going with an order of bagels. It's pretty easy to create a new post. You add an image and put in some text. You can decide who you want to have see that post. And then you'll see the preview over here, and then you can confirm it. It's very straightforward. There's possibly that they might want to also join the Upstock directory and start up a wholesaler page. And so we've provided all the details there for them to do that. And they get going with setting themselves up on the directory. This is the side of a, what we're looking at here is a side of a supplier. Okay. So now what we're going to do is move over to the other side. This is the Cafe 205 Coffee Lab on the buy side. And they've got orders in with fanciful bagels, and they've got orders in with conscientious co-packaging and restless bagels. So with a busy bar or a restaurant, cafe, that sort of environment, being able to have a single place where you can check on what the other team members have ordered is really fantastic, because as opposed to receiving texts after you've ended your shift to find when the other team members are asking you what you've ordered, did you get the gin, or did you buy the bagels, or did you buy this or whatever? They don't do that. They just log into Upstock. And in some venues we might have 10 buyers on Upstock, 10 users on Upstock for the one buyer, and they're all logging in at different times as their shifts start, etc. It's really hard for them to make a double up, or to both think the other's ordered and to have no order at all. Alleviates that. We've had one of a really busy restaurant in Wellington said that they used to take 3 weeks to get staff to go from starting the ordering to stopping either asking questions or making mistakes. With Upstock, it takes them 1 day. And that's relieved a lot of pressure off the manager. They've got a lot of staff, and it's a high turnover. There's young staff that are sort of uni students, so they're quite a high turnover of staff. So that's made it a lot easier for them. Here's their news feed. They can check out what the suppliers are promoting to them. These are demo suppliers, but it's all the same sort of theory, is that you're going to get suppliers promoting their products that you can see, and then you can go ahead and start to order. So when they actually do want to order, the buyer is able to place orders with multiple suppliers in one instance, in one go. So they can order from Fanciful Bagels, Restless Bagels, and the Loaf Company, and Zimmer Bagels. And they can decide that they'll have more of some, and they've got 4 orders here ready to go. And the orders have gone off to the suppliers. They're on their order list. It's really easy to see what's been ordered. They're in the ordered state at the moment, as you can see up here. They'll move across to processing and shipped as the suppliers pick up those orders and start to move them on through the process towards delivery. So let's say if they want to streamline things and they want to add things into and out of favorites, it's really easy to do that. They want to defavorite something, it's easy enough. They can move it to fruit and veg, take it out of bakery and dry goods, save, that one goes across. It's really, really easy to maneuver around your favorites list. If they just want to look at what else is on the list of products to be ordered, they can just either go to the supplier and look through the supplier's products, or when they go to place an order, they can go to the supplier from there and look down and see what they've got. And let's say they like the look of salted caramel cookies, they might want to put that on a bakery favourites list. So that's now on the favourite list, which just makes it a little bit quicker each time they go to place an order. Okay. And they can under this section, they can request new suppliers or view the suppliers they've got. They've got 18 connected and 6 pending. It's all pretty straightforward. And naturally, there's the standard sort of settings you get in here. Business profile users, that sort of thing. So that's the basis of Upstock as to what it does. It's simple, and that's one of the benefits of Upstock. It's very simple. We've got a huge variety of IT aptitude people using it, and keeping it really simple and straightforward is really key. It's harder to make it look simple than it is to make it look cluttered, and that's where we put a lot of effort into things. So I'm happy to take any questions that might be around how Upstock could help a business. Please let me know what you might have.
Fantastic. Such an efficient system. We actually got a comment that came through on Facebook just saying, wow, looks like a great system. And yeah, it certainly is. And I can see what you're saying, how you've taken a lot of effort to make sure that the site is not cluttered. And that is, yeah, and I'm sure that is because it contains so much. So wonderful. This has been really informative. We'll just give folks a moment to type, because as we know, we're not all keyboard warriors that click away like the cat meme. Yeah. So we'll just give people an opportunity to jot their questions down if they have any. I can see folks tuning in on a few different channels, so I'll just keep my eye on those and make sure that I'm not missing anybody. Yeah, and so what's the process if somebody wanted to get involved with this? Would they just go on straight into the site, or would they, if they've already got a system in place that they're using and they wanted to transfer over some information, is there capability for that? Is there support for that? How does that work?
Yeah, the process is basically to go on the website, and there's some pretty easy to fill out forms there to get involved through that process. And then what we can do is one-to-one demos should somebody want to have that. And when that all looks good and people decide that they want to go ahead and proceed, we've got 2 CS managers that are full-time onboarding. Then we've got Shelby's digital marketing manager who assists with ensuring that we help the supplier, boost their profile. There's a number of ways we help boost the profile of the supplier so that they can get more business. And then she also helps with one of the bigger suppliers that we actually have, which will in a non-demo site will actually feature right here, and that's called free samples. So she gets people on the free sample store, and then they're away. And we've had from some very, very small startup suppliers right through to some larger multinationals become involved with Upstock and as suppliers, and the onboarding process is pretty straightforward. Yeah, we're doing that all the time, and we've got foodstuffs integrations happening every week, every day pretty much.
There's a question here from Dean. Thanks, Dean. It says, will it further develop into other markets like building material or business support like HS? Also, the fizz is awesome and easy to order.
Well, we actually do go horizontally reasonably quickly. We've had some of the cafes decide that it'd be a good idea to order their CO2 gas for the sparkling water through Upstock, because that's a really good product suited to Upstock. It's not a product where you have to negotiate about the color of the cylinder or the exact height of it or anything like that. It's just like, can you please send us another one? And which works really well for Upstock. And then since that happened, we've had medical centres say, well, can we order CO2 gas on Upstock? Because for them, it's also, helpful to be able to make everything more efficient and transparent. So yes, it does travel horizontally into new markets. We're not yet at the building materials or that in that space. The beachhead has been the wholesale food suppliers to hospitality and independent supermarkets and all the rest of it. But there's no reason why it won't move out when there's a market where a buyer just says, can you send me more of these, please, on a regular basis. Yeah, that's where we fit.
Fantastic. Okay. Thanks, Dean. That was a great question, and love to see the scalability of this app. It's really fantastic. And I think we're actually...
Yeah, we've got new suppliers on this week in Australia, and that's working well. So we've got the geolocation sort of sorted out. So we've got, as the new supplier comes on board and invite their customers on board, they also in turn invite, want to have their suppliers available on Upstock. So so that starts to travel quite fast.
Interesting. So there's international capability here as well. Is that what you're...
Yeah, definitely. And in fact, what we're really looking forward to is being able to help some of the Kiwi brands that are really keen to get into Australia, for instance, or into other markets, when they become a supplier on Upstock, and we have the buyers on Upstock in that new market, and we start really helping the brand promote their profile and get buyers seeking to want to buy it, and then making sure that when they're purchasing it through the best available person for that particular brand. So obviously in South Australia would be a distributor down there. So we're helping the brand become a brand promoting company only, as opposed to having to handle the actual orders, and they can just set up their own distributors to handle the order itself. So that's going to be fantastic, because that leads us into some of the other markets that we're obviously going to travel into, Canada, USA. We've already got a bit happening in the USA, which is great. So
fantastic. Good on you too. So we love to see this, everything expanding out and scaling up. I mean, that's what we talk a lot about here at Digital Boost, small businesses, putting systems in place to be able to scale up later, which is fantastic. This has been an awesome session and such a great walkthrough. I was really glad that you suggested doing this, because I thought it would be the best way. I agreed with you in thinking it's the best way to really showcase what this tool has to offer for folks looking for something like this. So thanks again, Matt, for joining us here on Digital Boost and taking time out of your very busy schedule. And thanks everyone for joining us here today on Digital Boost. If you've got any other questions for Matt, do you have a page with your email address or anything, or contact us kind of page that you've prepared?
Yeah, I haven't got it prepared right here, but it's pretty straightforward. It's matt@upstock.app, MATT at upstock.app.
Okay, I've just dropped that in the chat, and I'll drop it into the chats on the other platforms if you're happy with that, Matt.
Yeah, perfect.
We've got another question here. It says, when you started, did you imagine getting into other markets?
It was always thought that the other geographical markets were certainly the place to go. I mean, we're pretty, 5 million people is not a huge market. And in terms of other markets beyond hospitality and food service, etc., I think the real sweet spot for Upstock is when you've got high volume, low variability orders. and that's where it's a burden for the buyer and it's a burden for the supplier. So those other markets, yeah, we sort of thought it would travel into those other markets, and it's proven to do so as well. Yeah. So we have the pull comes mainly from the buyers to get into those other markets, because you'll find a buyer that has got a supplier who supplies several markets. For instance, cleaning products are a good example of an area which is really good for Upstock. They're ubiquitous. I mean, you need them in all sorts of different types of businesses, and that's where we kind of travel sideways with products like that. And in terms of other geo markets, yeah, it's just naturally taking shape. I think there's somebody from Hong Kong came on board. They've got about 8 cafes, and they're just in the process of coming on board at the moment, and their suppliers will come on board, along with that.
Fantastic. Wow. That's pretty amazing. And we're getting just a little bit of feedback here on the socials, just saying, looks great. Thanks! Exclamation point. I've now dropped your email into all the different channels. So if you're looking to get a hold of Matt, you can do that there. You can see his logo and his branding there. And if you find that for some reason you can't figure out how to get there, contact support at digitalboost.business.govt.nz and we'll help you to connect. So
yeah, that's great. We've got a team of about 20 odd. So when inquiries come in, we've sort of got a reasonably well-oiled process to deal with them. So we look forward to hearing from those people that are in the space of supplying, or and if they think it might not work for their product, it's probably best just to reach out and we'll have a chat about it. There's like I said, it's when it's low variability, it helps a lot. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks again. What a great way to start a Thursday. We had a little bit of a hiccup there in the beginning, and both on my end and on your end, but we've pulled out in the end, haven't we? My mom always says you'll be right on the night, and I guess that's what's happened here. So
Mum's always right.
She is indeed. I'll tell her you said that as well. She'll be happy to hear that. So have a wonderful day, everyone. We'll see you next time. If you have any follow-up questions, contact Matt or contact us. We're here to help.